Well, we've got plenty of comments coming in on Taylor and many more. If you want to get involved in the conversation, file them into the comment section below. John says, Greg Taylor was a great servant to Celtic. Sad to see him go, but can understand not wanting to play second fiddle to Tierney. Best of luck at PAOK. Smell the Glove says, thanks Greg for the 11 winners' medals. Mark says, Taylor will show the naysayers how much you'll be missed. And on Facebook as well, if I can find it. Ed says, thank you for your dedicated and loyal service to Glasgow Celtic. I'm really sorry to see you leave, but you can most certainly leave with your head held high. We've talked about it before. It's worth mentioning maybe that he did get a bit of stick sometimes, Greg Taylor. Never understood
never a fan's favourite.
Never understood it. Really weird to me.
I think it might be part to do with the fact that, you know, in his younger days, he was coming up through the ranks at Rangers.
Well, just on that,
it might be as simple as that.
Rangers is UK says, wonder if Taylor will get his season ticket back now.
I think there's been a bit of online banter with Chris Boyd about that today, hasn't there? And Greg Taylor's made it clear where his heart now lies in the shape of green heart-shaped emojis. Listen, he was a terrific performer for Celtic over the years. He's well decorated from his time there. And I actually do think he'll be missed. I think Celtic, you know, they'll do well to replace him with a player of similar quality. And also the flexibility that I think he gave the team, particularly in the Champions League when he went back to the Ange Postecoglou inverted role.
Mm-hmm. He played that really well.
And played and gave Celtic that extra layer of protection in front of the centre of defence alongside Cal McGregor. I thought he was key. He was a key component to the way that Celtic recovered from the kind of bruising defeat against Borussia Dortmund. I think that the way that Greg Taylor played that position was really important in the way that Celtic recovered from that. I did think, and I said it, and I've obviously put the curse on it, that Brendan Rodgers, I thought he was working his magic on him. I thought he might be able to convince him that it was better to stay than to go, that he'd get enough football at Celtic, even with Kieran Tierney back at the club. Obviously not worked, and now they're going to have to. They'll be doing well to recruit somebody as capable as Greg Taylor has been, as an understudy to Kieran Tierney.
Mm-hmm. The Bucky Trucker says, well, started with Celtic and Greg Taylor, well done. Have I got the wrong show?
Yeah, but I managed to get a Rangers story and Dick Advocaat and all that.
Managed to get Rangers in there. And
and I was perfectly well aware of that.
We've got a lot of people asking about Rangers transfer news as well, and we will come to that, I promise. But Scott, Greg Taylor, Celtic, I would say, maybe not nigh impossible to replace him, but it's going to be very tough.
Well, as for the reasons we've discussed before, in terms of Brendan Rodgers now has to find somebody who is willing to come in and battle with Kieran Tierney, and that might be a losing battle given Kieran Tierney's kind of stature at Celtic. And I suppose ultimately that's why Greg Taylor's moved on. I don't think he wanted to play second fiddle to Tierney, having done 5 years pretty much his first choice left back. I agree with you. I mean, I think he's done brilliant at Celtic. I actually think and I don't think I'm being unkind to him, but I think he's exceeded all expectations, Greg Taylor at Celtic. I think when he signed there for Kilmarnock, people looked at him as kind of young Scottish guy, going to the old firm, might be a kind of bit part player, might struggle with the level and the expectation, the intensity and stuff like that, but I think he's exceeded all of that, to get the trophies that he's won. And as Jacko says, to actually develop his game, he's a regular in the Scotland squad, there certainly was until recently, and to develop his game under Ange and then under Brendan Rodgers, to come in field and play and sit beside Callum McGregor in midfield and look comfortable. I think he's taken his game onto a level at Celtic that most people probably didn't think he could. So that's probably the biggest compliment I can pay him. And since he's went abroad, find a lot more kind of Scottish guys want to give it a try. Maybe it's not the most kind of glamorous league or glamorous club, but as Jacko says, a real passionate support, something totally different. Aye, and I read, I think Tam McManus, our columnist, tweeted today that I think he's just back for Thessalonica, just talking about how beautiful a place it is, how great a place it would be to live. And that's what you need to consider as well. He's got a young family. something totally different. You could argue he's probably achieved everything he was going to achieve at Celtic, so I don't think people could be too critical of him for moving on, and it's going to be interesting to see how he does over there.
A couple of people in the comments saying that Hayato Inamura will be Kieran Tierney's back up at left back. No, he can play left back.
He's
left
flexible, and he can play at left centre half, or he can fill in at left back. Liam Scales can fill in at left back.
True, aye, true.
So, but I don't know. Look,
you want someone more than a fill-in. You want a left back.
You want a specialised, a guy that's specialised in the position, I would have thought. Now, it'll be interesting to see, the plans for where Brendan Rodgers sees Inamura playing. Is he coming in as the left-sided centre half to match what we talked about and be as good as Cameron Carter-Vickers on the right-hand side? Or has he been brought in to play in between the positions and be flexible? And I don't know, but I get the feeling that unless he sees him as an out-and-out left-back, which I would doubt, I think Celtic will still be in the market for a left-back.
Mark, just to sum up on, Greg Taylor says, if it wasn't for Robertson and KT, we're doing a 50 cap man, which I completely agree with.
I can't disagree. And also, I remember speaking to Greg Taylor. I was down at Lennoxtown, and it was just after Ange Postecoglou had left and Brendan Rodgers was coming back, and they were starting to get used to how Brendan Rodgers wanted him to play. And I said, look, is it a big difference? And we started having this conversation about what Ange Postecoglou had demanded of his fullbacks, and he was fairly certain that he would be able to get that sort of ability to roam, the same ability to come inside under Brendan Rodgers. And we just ended up having a chat about it, and I said to him, but did you used to be a midfield player? Because you look that comfortable when you're inside the pitch. And he spent, obviously I didn't realise this, but when he was coming up through developing through the ages, predominantly he was a midfielder who then gets shifted out to left back. And I felt you could see that because he was so comfortable in possession, and he had that ability to spot the pass, to get through lines and all that sort of stuff. Really comfortable player. I thought the one thing that he had probably going against him was his physical attributes. Quite a small guy. That's not always ideal, especially if you've got somebody playing on your side that's got an aerial threat. And so defensively, you might have thought he would have struggled more than he did. But I think credit to him, it was never really
noticed
a weakness. It was never really anything that anybody exploited or played upon. I just think Greg Taylor all round was a really good Celtic player.